Om Ajnanatimirandasya Jnananjana Shalakaya Chakshurunmilitam Dhena Tasmai Shri Gurave Namah. This is a special gathering because all of you are in a very unique class of living entities. Hare Krishna.
Please join me in honoring His Grace Vaisesika.
Hare Krishna. Hare Krishna. Krishna says that it's very rare for anybody to take to spiritual life. Manushyanam sahasreshu kasyit yatiti siddhaye. And out of those who do take to spiritual life, there are very few that come to understand Krishna. And out of those who understand Krishna, there are very few that become compassionate and join in the mood of Chaitanya Mahaprabhu of spreading the Sankirtan movement. So you're in that a very rare group of devotees, and I thank you very much for coming all the way here from various places in the rain and flying and driving just to be here tonight to talk about this nectarian service of spreading the holy names all over the world. And we're going to start by asking for the blessings of Srila Prabhupada, whose great mercy has inspired people all over the world to take to Krishna consciousness, and in whose footsteps we're following. How is everybody tonight? You okay? Okay, well just stand up for 1 second. Go ahead. And you can raise your hands in the air and say, Gauranga. Okay, then you put your hands down. Now let's try it again. This time, put your hands in the air and yell Gauranga. 1, 2, 3. Okay, let's try one more time with Nityananda. 1, 2, 3. Nityananda! Govinda's pretty loud. I can hear him all over here. Okay, so this side of the room say Gauranga, and then I'll point to you and you say Nityananda. You ready? Nityananda! But you both quieted down. Let's try it again. Thank you very much. This song is written by Srinivasacharya about the 6 Goswamis of Vrindavan. And just by singing this song every day, one can develop spiritual power from these great souls. And we'll need somebody to try this, run the clicker. You're running a lot of equipment, so someone who's done this before can keep moving this along. Thank you. And we'll sing it all together. Krishna Kirtana Ganana. You got to keep it. Om Premamritam Boniti. All together. Dhira dhira jana priyo priyakaro nirmatsaro pujito. Move it. Shri Chaitanya kripabaro bhuvi bhuvo padavahantarako Panerupasan Tano Raguyako Sri Jiva Gopalako Nana Shastra Vicharanaika Nipuno Sadharma Samstapako Lokanamita Karino Tribhuvane Abhimanyo Sharanyakaro Radha Krishna Padara Vinda Bhajana Nandena Mataliko Bande Rupa Sanatano Raghuyako Shri Jiva Gopalako Shri Gauranga Gunarnuvarna Navido Shraddha Samriddhyanvito Papotapanikrinthano Tanubritam Govinda Ganamrita Anandamburi Vardanaika Nipano Kaivalya Nistarako Vande Rupa Sanatano Raghuyako Shri Jiva Gopalako Jattva Shesha Mandalapati Shrenim Sadatu Chapat Bhutvadina Ganesha Ko Karunaya Gopina Kanta Shrito Gopi Bhavara Samrita Tilahari Kalola Magno Mahu Vande Rupa Sanatano Raghuyako Shri Jiva Gopalako Pujat Kokila Hamsa Sara Sagana Kine Mayura Kule Nana Ragna Rada Lavitapa Shri Yukta Vrindavane Radha Krishna Maharnisham Prabhajato Jivata Donyo Mudha Vande Rupa Sanatano Raghuyako Shri Jiva Gopalako Sankhya Purvaka Ganana Natibi Kalabasani Krito Nidrahara Viharakari Vijito Chatyanta Dino Chayo Radha Krishna Gunasmite Madhurima Nandena Samohito Vande Rupa Sanatano Raghuyako Shri Jiva Gopalako Radha Kundatate Kalinditanaya Tire Chavam Shivate Premon Maravasara Shesha Dashaya Rasto Brahmato Sada Kayanto Chakadaharer Gunavaram Baba Vibhuto Mudha Vande Rupa Sanatano Raghuyako Shri Jiva Gopalako Radhe Vraj Devat Chalalite kale kalindi vanye kutaha oshanta viti sabato rajapure kede mahavivalo vanderu pasanatano raguyato Shri Jiva Gopalako Vanderu pasanatano raguyato Shri Jiva Gopalako Shad Goswami Ashtakam ki Go Premanande Nitai Gauda Haribo 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 Nitai Gauda Haribo Nitai Go Premanande Now take the SOS, PowerPoint. Would you make sure that's safe? Thank you. And I'll take the clicker back. You did an excellent job, by the way. Please give him a hand. This is a verse written by Kushakrata, one of Prabhupada's disciples, who was a genius. He learned Sanskrit on his own from a book and then spent the rest of his life translating esoteric Gaudiya Vaishnava literatures and writing his own verses. I particularly like this because it gives the mood that Prabhupada taught us in the Sankirtan movement. In one letter, Prabhupada wrote how the Sankirtan movement means to fight with Maya, and fighting with Maya means to go out from the temples, which are bases from which we take out millions of books, and we rain them on the cities and on the people there so that they can take advantage of Krishna consciousness. And whenever Prabhupada wrote from a particular city, he would write Camp Toronto, Camp Montreal, Camp New York, as in a military camp. And this instilled a mood of seriousness in the devotees. So we called this a Sankirtan orientation session, and SOS for short, because it's the way to save the world, and I'll prove that tonight. Tonight I'll talk a little bit about our legacy, because it's good to know where this whole idea of book distribution in Sankirtan comes from. Sampradaya, which all of you have heard before, everyone please say Sampradaya. It actually means the complete gift. And we're being given a gift from Krishna, who is all merciful, and he's making all arrangements to pass down the greatest of gifts, which is the means by which we can become reconnected to him. And it comes down from one spiritual master to disciple, one after another. And Chaitanya Mahaprabhu has asked everyone to engage in this activity. So it's really a work of the heart to give these gifts. And to be part of the Sampradaya means to give. We're gift givers. And that's really beautiful work if you think about it. That if you dedicate your life to giving, you'll always be joyful. The more you give, the more you grow. Your heart expands when you think about how to give. And lots of people think about how to give, and people generally know that it's better to give than to receive. However, what to give and whom to give it to is not well known. What is the greatest gift that one can give? And that's the subject matter of Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu's teachings. So, Advaita Acharya, who is an incarnation of Mahavishnu. Mahavishnu is one of the expansions of Krishna who has to do with overseeing the material world. And because of that, he feels sorry for the living entities, because he knows what they're going through here in the material world, life after life, being blinded by their attraction to Maya, and therefore out of compassion, in the beginning of the Kali Yuga, he calls out for Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, he calls out for Krishna to please come and rectify the situation. So he found in a Shastra, he remembered actually from a Shastra he had read, that if you offer Krishna a little Ganges water and some tulsi leaves, then he becomes so indebted to the offerer that he gives himself. So again and again, Sri Advaita Acharya called out, please come and save the people in Kali Yuga, and he offered this Ganges water and tulsi leaves. And Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu appeared after hearing his calls. And you can go to the place, the birthplace of Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu in Sri Mayapur Dham, and roll in the dust there and become enlivened to spread the Sankirtan movement all over the world. And that's what Chaitanya Mahaprabhu did. He went all over India and he gave people this greatest gift. And so, in a movement, we have to know what's the parts that move. And in our movement, there's only two parts, and they're really simple. One part is, okay, work with me on this. First part is, and the second part is, okay, part one, second, first, second. Okay, so if someone stops you on the way out of here and says, okay, what was that guy teaching in here, what will you say? It's it. It's simple. So movements that have simple parts can pass on quite easily because they're easy to remember and they're easy to do. And that's Chaitanya Mahaprabhu walked barefoot all over South India, and he just went to little villages. And in each village, he got the people together and he taught them how to do Harinam Sankirtan. And in various forms, we're doing the same thing as well. So, Chaitanya Mahaprabhu and Lord Nityananda opened a marketplace. Now, marketing is a very specific science. It's part quantitative reasoning skills, part qualitative reasoning. It takes a lot of planning to market something. You have to figure out who your audience is, who your buyers are. You have to figure out a way to market it so that they'll take it. Right? Any marketers in here? Anybody ever sell anything? Okay, one. Good. We're lucky. So, this is a specific thing, marketing, and that's what we're doing. Chaitanya Mahaprabhu's mission statement was to spread the Krishna consciousness movement, the chanting of Hare Krishna, to every town and village. That's a pretty wide audience. In every town and village in the world. And here he is dancing down the streets of Miami, Florida, which is appropriate because nowadays we have Rath Yatras going down major streets all over the world. And this was Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu's idea, that this go everywhere. But after Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu left, the Sankirtan movement became hidden for quite some time. And this happens in the material world. Krishna tells Uddhava in the 11th canto of the Srimad Bhagavatam that because of the force of time, things become diluted and ideas become fragmented and people distort the message. So Chaitanya Mahaprabhu's movement actually became invisible for quite some time until the appearance of the great Srila Bhaktivinoda Thakur in 1891. And he brought that marketplace back to life. And he declared at Surabhi Kunj that the marketplace of the holy name, started by Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, was now open again. Srila Bhaktivinoda Thakur ki. So you can go to that place of Bhaktivinoda Thakur. His house is still there. You can see the desk that he sat on. You can see the balcony that he stood on and envisioned the growth of Sri Mayapur Dham. He also divined the birthplace of Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu and so forth. He's the powerhouse through which these teachings of Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu are being passed down to us now. So Bhaktivinoda Thakur's life was consumed with spreading Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu's teachings. And he prayed for a ray of Vishnu to appear in his family, and that was Srila Bhaktisiddhanta Saraswati Thakur, who appeared, the great acharya following him, who was able to modernize the movement, to spread it all over India. And then Bhaktivinoda Thakur also predicted that a great personality would appear to help spread it all over the world. And in the meantime, there was a sangha of these great pure devotees, like Srila Gaurkishore Das Babaji Maharaj. And these devotees were keeping the teachings of Chaitanya Mahaprabhu going and the pure name of Krishna. So when Srila Bhaktisiddhanta Saraswati Thakur appeared, he spread the Sankirtan movement all over India. He also sent envoys to Burma and to England. And you can see that he was interested in making sure that this went all over the world. But it seemed a daunting task to actually have it expand everywhere, because at the time in India, Vaishnavas could not imagine people from other countries taking up the practice of bhakti yoga. Bhaktivinoda Thakur, however, had that vision, and so did Srila Bhaktisiddhanta Saraswati Thakur. But general body of Vaishnavas considered that maybe Chaitanya Mahaprabhu's edict that it should go all over the world meant it should go all over India. How would it go to the other countries? So Srila Bhaktisiddhanta Saraswati Thakur, when he met one of his disciples, he had many disciples, one of them was Abhay Charanaravinda, who's now we've known as A.C. Bhaktivedanta Swami Prabhupada, the founder Acharya of ISKCON. So they met in a holy place in Sri Radhakund. And you can go to that place right when they were walking together. As a grihasta, Abhay Charanaravinda Das asked his spiritual master, what can I do to serve you? Because at that time, Srila Bhaktisiddhanta Saraswati Thakur was surrounded by sannyasis, brahmacharis, who were doing intimate service and preaching everywhere. And this disciple was a grihasta and had family duties and so forth, and felt a little detached or distant from the services. So he asked, what can I do? And Srila Bhaktisiddhanta Saraswati Thakur told him that if you ever get money, okay, this part you work with me on. If you ever get money? Yes, and at the time he impressed upon him that although the Gaudiya Math had built a beautiful flagship temple in Calcutta, in Bagh Bazar, one of the disciples who was very wealthy gave all the money for it and his whole life to help build that temple. Once the devotees had moved in there, the monks were there, some of them quarreled over who got which room, who had a higher status, and so forth. Srila Bhaktisiddhanta Saraswati Thakur commented at that time that better we take the marble from the walls and sell it and print some books. So Srila Prabhupada told us, I took this from his mouth, that my spiritual master was very fond of books. And he kept that mood going throughout his sojourn with us. He always emphasized this because he heard it directly from his spiritual master, who emphasized that he preach in the Western world, he expand Krishna consciousness past India, and he also print books and distribute them widely. So Srila Prabhupada now expanded that marketplace out of India. I love this picture because he's leading the charge with his Bhagavatam. He brought with him these Bhagavatams. When he came from India, he put them in trunks. He didn't have any other possessions, no other money, just a few personal effects and his books. And when he came to America, and he began, actually before America, he was marketing them in India, and he made this pamphlet. And he advertises 60 volumes of elaborate English version. At the time, he only had the first canto of the Bhagavatam, 3 volumes, and he's advertising 60. So he had no money, he had no means, but he had a huge ambition to expand the Bhagavatam all over the world. And he says all over the world for scientific knowledge of God. So he's thinking big. Even though he has no resources, he has no connections, he's thinking all over the world. And all of us can think like that too. Why? Because if you take the backing of Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, then who's described by Kaviraj Goswami to be the greatest of spiritual capitalists. In Silicon Valley, where I come from, people have startup companies, entrepreneurs, and they look for a little startup capital to get their enterprise off the ground. So any one of you can become a spiritual entrepreneur. Start up your own expansion of the Krishna consciousness movement. And who will back you? Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu. He's got the capital. And if you simply take shelter of him, he'll give you what you need to expand your enterprise. And what we really are looking for in the Krishna consciousness movement, what Prabhupada was emphasizing, was spiritual entrepreneurialism. He wanted devotees to take their own initiative, to find the ways and means within their own capacity to expand the Sankirtan movement as far as possible. So Prabhupada had this vision that by printing books, we would inject the Krishna consciousness movement into the society. And he also gave this very famous talk in Los Angeles in 1975. In fact, he wasn't satisfied with the pace at which his book trust, called the Bhaktivedanta Book Trust, called what? Was printing books at the time, although they were investing in the latest technologies, and they were also moving as quickly as possible because they were very enthusiastic. But when Prabhupada arrived in Los Angeles, he called for all his world leaders to arrive there also. And at that time, he asked the leaders of the Bhaktivedanta Book Trust in Los Angeles to print all of his Chaitanya Charitamrita and a couple of volumes from the 5th canto within 2 months, and that was about 17 volumes of books. And previously they were able to print one book every 2 months, but Prabhupada said, I want all books done in 2 months, all 17 volumes. And the leader of the Bhaktivedanta Book Trust, while they were on a walk at Venice Beach with all the leaders from around the world, said to Prabhupada, but Prabhupada, that's impossible. And he was right, it was impossible. But Prabhupada then replied that impossible is a word used only in a fool's dictionary. And when this leader of the BBT realized that he had just been given an impossible order to fulfill, he dropped back from the walk and then considered that, yes, I have to do this. And he said, he told me personally, that as soon as he considered in his heart that, yes, I have to do this, I will do this, the impossible became possible. And all the energy and the imagination that he needed began to flow into his consciousness. So this is the way in which one can take up the empowerment from Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu. Srila Prabhupada himself did this before he came to America to spread single-handedly the Krishna consciousness movement all over the world with no money at 70 years old. An implausible feat. He went to the house of Advaita Acharya and he prayed there. And the Pujari later told the devotees that he saw a man come to the place where the Pujari was taking care of Advaita Acharya's place, and he saw him praying and crying, and he asked him, why are you here? Why are you feeling like this? And Srila Prabhupada had told him that my spiritual master has given me an impossible task, so I'm praying to Advaita Acharya to help me spread it all over the world. And later on, of course, after Srila Prabhupada went to America and then all over the world and became successful, he reprinted his Back to Godhead in America, and then some Westerners started showing up at Advaita Acharya's place. And this Pujari said, where are you coming from? And they showed him this magazine. This was after Prabhupada had left the planet. And then he saw Prabhupada's picture and he realized he's done it. He actually left this place with nothing, with no resources, and he spread it all over the world, and now the disciples come there in droves. So this impossible task can be taken up if one embraces the order of the Supreme Personality of Godhead and his representative. So Prabhupada was very keen on this technique of book distribution. That is the way to give the world a new spiritual process. And he mentioned that the communists were very expert at spreading their ideologies through literature distribution. We can also note that there are other organizations that are doing far more than we are, like the Watchtowers magazine from the Jehovah's Witness Kingdom. They're doing 239 countries, 595 languages, 46 million copies per month. So we shouldn't become complacent. They got there within a fairly short amount of time. We shouldn't think we're doing enough. We need to expand. The Bible, through the Gideons, is going out 196 countries, 93 languages. By 2015, 2 billion have gone out. Surely we can do better than that with the Bhagavad Gita, right? Please say yes. Thank you. If he says yes, then we can do it. Okay, so Time Magazine, circulation 2012, 3 million. Bhakti Guided Magazine is about 3,000. So we're a little behind, but we're in a good position to expand. So here's the point. The direct order of the Supreme Lord is the manifestation of his internal potency. Everyone please read this together. The direct order of the Lord is the manifestation of his internal energy. And his stronger energy is the means of seeing the Lord face to face. What does that mean? Anyone? Want to look at it again? The direct order of the Lord is a manifestation of his internal potency. And this particular energy is the means of seeing the Lord face to face. Where's the microphone? Here it comes.
We can see the Lord face to face if you follow his order.
Thank you. So this is a good opportunity to find out what the order of the Lord is and then hold on to it. And one can come to see the Lord face to face. So here's one of the orders Prabhupada gave. So kindly help me. This is my request. So if you take that, kindly help me to distribute books, then you're holding on to something substantial. And that will bring you to the perfectional stage. Prabhupada, typically, this is a typical statement. There are hundreds of them, but he emphasized this as one of the very important aspects of the Krishna consciousness movement, and that is to vigorously try for book distribution. So don't feel shy about being vigorous in your enthusiasm for spreading book distribution, for taking it up. And of course, Krishna himself says that anyone who takes up this activity of teaching the Bhagavad Gita to others is the most dear to him. You can keep that close to your heart, because this is a way, by taking Krishna's hint here, to become very close to him very quickly. And Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, of course, said that everyone should become a spiritual master and then spread Krishna consciousness all over the world. So the orders are there. They're plentiful, and all one has to do is embrace them within one's heart and work vigorously to fulfill them, and then one will be on a fast track to seeing Krishna face to face. Not only that, with book distribution, as Prabhupada said, when you take up the trouble to teach Krishna consciousness to others, he said you'll get superior strength and knowledge in Krishna consciousness. So we take it that book distribution, the activity itself, is high sadhana. Because leaving the threshold of your house or the temple to go outside is sometimes a little unnerving, isn't it? Say yes. Yes. Yeah, because the mind might say, well, what's going to happen out there? Maybe I'll be rejected. I don't know who I'm going to meet, and so forth. But once we go out into the great unknown and we depend on Krishna, then we get an empowerment, a kind of strength that lifts us to a new level. Not only that, those who try for these kinds of preaching activities, especially book distribution, are serving Krishna and the spirit and the pure devotee in a very direct way. And the Shastra says, Shushushro Sharadhanasya Vasudeva Kataruchi Syan Mahat Sevaya Vipra Punya Tirtha Nishevana. And that is, by doing service for the pure devotees, then one gets an affinity for hearing about Krishna. It means you advance in Krishna consciousness very rapidly. So we say that book distribution is a rapid way to make spiritual advancement. Now, I'm going to teach you the 4 laws of book distribution. And if you follow these laws, then you'll be successful in your book distribution individually and also from whatever team you're working with. That will also flourish if you follow the 4 laws of book distribution. Don't break the law. Are you ready?
Yes.
Say yes.
Yes.
Thank you. Okay, the first law. Your sadhana must be strong. Please repeat.
Your sadhana must be strong.
Number 2 is you must get books.
You must get books.
Number 3, we always say twice. The more you show, the more you sell.
The more you show, the more you sell.
The more you show, the more you sell. And number 4 is you must organize. So number 1, your sadhana must be strong. 2, you must get books. 3, the more you show, the more you sell. The more you show, the more you sell. And number 4, you must organize. Now, let's look at them. Your sadhana must be strong because, and let me say what strong means: strict, serious, and sincere. These are 3 words that Prabhupada used in various places, but I've strung them together on a little thread so that you can wear them around your neck. Strict, serious, and sincere sadhana. And they have various meanings, which I've talked about in the book we wrote called Our Family Business. And when we do strict, serious, and sincere sadhana, you get a taste, no doubt about it. And if you get even a molecule of taste from your practice of Krishna consciousness, one tiny molecule of taste, that's enough to expand and flood all of Ontario. Are we in Ontario? What's the next state after Ontario? Quebec. So after Ontario, one molecule of taste from one devotee's strict, serious, and sincere sadhana will expand and flood Ontario and then Quebec. And then after Quebec, what comes?
New Brunswick.
Then it'll go into New Brunswick, and then to where?
Nova Scotia.
Nova Scotia, and then to where?
Prince Edward Island.
Prince Edward Island. And it's coming across Prince Edward Island, and then it'll start coming down into Seattle, Washington,
Don't forget Newfoundland.
Newfoundland, the home of the Newfoundland newts. And then it'll start coming down into the continent of America. It will go across America. One molecule will expand and go across the ocean. Hawaiian Islands will be consumed. Then where? Japan, China, Korea, North and South. Australia, all the way around the world to Africa and then into Europe. One molecule of taste. It's such a valuable substance. If you can get one molecule of taste from your practice of devotional service. In fact, in one of the songs that we sing that begins, Doyal Nitai Chaitanya, Bhaktivinoda Thakur said, if you just get a little taste for this process, then your life will become complete and happy. And elsewhere in the song, Nam Gai Gora Madhusvare, he says, just try for this, just try to get a little taste. So everything starts with strict, serious, and sincere sadhana. It's such a blessing to have a practice that's been passed down to us from the great acharyas, and if we take full advantage of it, lean into it, make it our life and soul, then we'll get this taste, and from the taste we distribute the overflow. And that's what Sankirtan is. Sankirtan means you feel blissful in your heart. And everywhere you go, you feel like giving gifts. You feel like connecting to people. And when people look at you, they'll think, oh, they have something. He's got something. They see it in your countenance. You don't have to say anything if you have strict, serious, and sincere sadhana. People will look at you from across the street and say, uh-oh, I better go over there and find out what this person has. Because living entities are smart. They sense things and they know when somebody's got some bliss. And it comes from Krishna. And we have the formula through which one can taste that bliss. So this is what we're doing, distributing the overflow. So we have to have the strict, serious, and sincere sadhana. one way that you can do it is have an intimate relationship with Bhagavad Gita. Bhagavad Gita is directly spoken by Krishna. And who is Krishna, by the way? He's the Supreme Personality of Godhead. That's amazing. And in fact, in the Laghu Bhagavatamrita, Rupa Goswami says, this is no ordinary book because it's spoken by the Supreme Personality of Godhead. And to derive the highest benefit in life, you read this every day. One idea is that you read it at least one chapter every day. Prabhupada mentions this several times. He said, please encourage everyone to read at least one chapter of Bhagavad Gita every day. All my students should read at least one chapter of Bhagavad Gita every day. So one thing about these orders or these instructions is they're open for everybody. Anybody can take this. You have 24 hours each day. At least in California we get that. How many do you get up here? How many? Oh, you get 24 here too. Okay, so you get 24 hours in a day. And if you wanted to schedule in one chapter of Bhagavad Gita every day, is it technically possible? Kalki, is it possible? Technically. Kalki said yes, so okay, it's possible. Okay, so it's possible, so if you did it, what might happen? If you actually read one chapter of Bhagavad Gita every day, what might happen to you? Get purified? Anything else? You'd love the Bhagavad Gita every more, and all your problems would go away, and you'd have taste enough so that you could flood all of Ontario, Quebec, New Brunswick, Port Charles, Prince Edward Island, all over the world. We have an organization called CHAD that you can join. Devotees chant one chapter of Bhagavad Gita without fail every day. And even if they go to sleep at night and they forgot to chant it, and it's 12 o'clock midnight, they'll jump up at 11:59 and go, I forgot. And then you'll see them pacing back and forth. They finish it no matter what. And this is strict, serious, and sincere sadhana. And if you do that, then you'll find that your life is being elevated by the power of transcendental sound. And all you have to do is make a vow. It's up to you. Human form of life, you can make vows anytime you want and keep them. And then you'll be improved. That's pretty exciting. The other thing is to be a sage page by page. Prabhupada wrote all these books and he said, read them all. So that's a little difficult because if you look at all the books, you'll think, that's too many, I'll never read those. So here's the solution. Break it down into small parts and figure out how many pages you have to read of each book every day in order to finish in a certain amount of time. Now, we've calculated for you so you don't have to do it. And all you have to do is go to the App Store for on the Apple apps, or what's that other phone called? Yeah, Android. So there's Android and there's the Apple phones, and we have an app for both of those called Be a Sage Page by Page. It's a free app. You can go and download it. And from there, you can dial in which book you want to read and also pick the time frame that you want to finish it in. So let's just say you wanted to finish the Bhagavatam in 5 years. No, you look more like 1 year. Okay, so say you want to finish it in 1 year, right? Okay, so then you move the dial and you'll say Bhagavatam, 1 year, and then the magic number will appear on the screen, and your magic number is 41 pages. You'd have to read 41 pages a day of the Bhagavatam. You'll finish the whole thing in just a little under a year. And then if you say, okay, that's too much, I want to adjust it to 3 years, you do that. And for all the books, that's available. And if you read electronically, you can switch the toggle and it will tell you how many shlokas you have to read, because it's hard to measure pages on an iPad or an electronic reader, and you can count by shlokas either way. And this is a tried and true way to finish all of Prabhupada's books, and you should know when you're going to finish the Bhagavatam or Chaitanya Charitamrita. You should know the date. It should be actually, you can tattoo it on your arm or use a Sharpie, it'll last for a while. Write it on your arm, the date you're going to finish Bhagavatam. So if somebody wakes you up at 1 o'clock in the morning, shakes you and says, hey, wake up, what time are you going to finish the Bhagavatam, what date? You'll say, anybody know? Now if you know what that date is, you'll be energized in your service, because you'll be thinking, I've got a mission. I don't have time to blab on the phone, I don't have time to look at Facebook, because I have to finish my Bhagavatam pages. And you'll find out you even have time to blab after you finish your pages. But if you stay on this track, to be a sage page by page, then you will become a sage, and probably gave many benedictions, and the Bhagavatam is full of benedictions. But you have to read the books. You have to read all of them too. And you can do it. Just get on a regular diet, just like an athlete or somebody training to learn an instrument. Get strict, serious, and sincere, and read the books, read all of them. And do it in increments, and you'll be very successful. So, what's the number one? Say it one more time with one voice. Yes, that's the first law of book distribution. Sadhana must be strong. Because if you have strong sadhana, and you can get one molecule of taste from your sadhana, and you must. It's your responsibility to get one molecule of taste. Otherwise, it's illegal. It's called niyamagraha. You're just messing around. You're chanting, but you're not getting a taste. That's your fault. You have to try to get a taste. And if you get a taste, then you'll be able to go anywhere in the world and distribute books with no problem. So number 2 is? And there's a way to say this that's military. And just like when you go in the military, they'll train you in boot camp. They'll say, you ready to sweep the floor? And you go, sir, yes, sir. Say, sir, yes, sir.
Sir, yes, sir.
No, you'd be kicked out of the military. Private, sweep the floor.
Sir, yes, sir.
You'd be kicked out. Try it again. Sweep the floor.
Sir, yes, sir.
Oh, come on. One more time. Sweep the floor.
Sir, yes, sir.
Okay, we're getting close. So now when we see this number 2, get books, you say,
Sir, yes, sir.
no, actually you say get books. Okay, 1, 2, 3.
Get books.
Okay, so what's the second law of book distribution?
Get books.
And if you walk out of here and someone grabs you by the arm and said, what was that guy teaching in there, that you'll say?
Get books.
That's right. Okay, so get books. Now, the reason this is one of the laws of book distribution, we've studied it very carefully. We've been to the universities all over America and Canada, and we've done intensive research, and we found out that you cannot distribute books that you don't have. So, books are available, and that's a miracle, because these books originally were written by hand. When Chaitanya Mahaprabhu found the Sri Brahma Samhita, it was on a scroll. These scrolls were written on palm leaves by scribes, one letter at a time. Now we have high-speed electronic printing. Don't take it for granted. This is a special period in history when we have millions of copies of Bhagavad Gita and Srimad Bhagavatam available at our fingertips. Don't overlook this. Take advantage. It's the greatest wealth in the world, to be able to get as many books as possible. And if you keep them with you, you'll find that Chaitanya Mahaprabhu will empower you to distribute them. A couple of devotees in Chicago, about 4 years ago when we did a seminar there, heard this get books. So they were running a business, and they just threw a box of books in the back seat. And they forgot about it for a couple weeks until they went to a home program. And at the home program, many other devotees came, and then the host of the program, who was a wealthy man, said, you know, I'd like to take up distribution of Bhagavad Gita. Do any of you have any Bhagavad Gitas? And everyone looked at each other, and nobody had any. And then these two remembered, oh, we have the box in the car. So they ran out to the car. They brought the box in. It had 7 Bhagavad Gitas inside. They said, here, you could take these. And the man gave them $1,000 for the 7 books. And when I saw them next time, and I saw the box in the car, I said, oh, good, you're keeping books. And they said, this, let me tell you the story of why we always keep this here. And if you make arrangements to keep books, keep these books with you when you travel, keep them in your car, keep them in your house. If you are in a house, by the way, you can put several cases up in front of the refrigerator and tell the family that we're not eating until they're gone. But when they're there and they're available and they're visible, then you'll distribute them. Krishna will send you people. So we have books in many different languages. Here you see Japanese and Vietnamese, Arabic, Farsi, and Korean. And you can learn how to distribute these books. It's very simple, actually, to distribute foreign books. But don't miss anybody. Prabhupada's original instruction in 1975 was distribute as many books in as many languages all over the world. Invest in these, get them, and make sure that you have them available. This was an outing to a Vietnam town, which is really close to where our temple is. We're in Silicon Valley, but every ethnic group has their own area where they can congregate and be together. This was at a Starbucks. I was just walking around with Vietnamese books in this area, just know a few words in Vietnamese, but when they saw that I was carrying books in their language, they invited me to sit down, and they each took a book, and so did every store in the whole place, because they had Vietnamese books. And if you get these books and you try to accommodate people with them, that you'll find something amazing, that people really take to it. Here's a Muslim mullah from Afghanistan, and we became fast friends because I had a book in Farsi. And I was at a weekend market, was distributing, and I said, Salam alaikum, alaikum salam, madama kifa lak alhamdulillah, Allah akbar. Those are just a few words I know, and he was impressed and appreciated and asked me if I prayed, and I said 16 times a day. And he gave me a big hug, and I showed him the Farsi book, and we became immediate friends. He wanted to know where all the other Farsi books are, and I do too. We need these books translated in all languages. He took that book home to Afghanistan, and there it's sitting somewhere in Afghanistan where it is having a powerful effect on the community. So number 2 is? Oh. 1, 2, 3. Get books! Correct, that's it. Get books. Don't miss this great opportunity in history to get books. See what you did? Number 3 law is the one we always say twice, so let's try it. Yeah, number 2 we say military. Number 3 we just say it twice. You can say it as loud as you like. But this is because little jivas are sentient. They look out from their eyes in all the different species of life, and they're looking around to find stuff that they like. And people advertise all over the place. They put up signs that say, buy Coca-Cola. And little jiva sees a sign that says, buy Coca-Cola and open a bottle of happiness. Did you know that's their advertisement? Open a bottle of happiness. So little jiva sees it, thinks that looks reasonable. I think I'll get a bottle of Coca-Cola. And every cell in his body is saying, don't you put that in here. And he said, no, I saw it on the sign. I'll drink it. So he drinks the Coca-Cola, and then he sees a sign that says, drink puffy cigarettes. So he gets a puffy cigarette pack, and he brings it home. And every cell in his body is saying, don't breathe that in here. But he goes, no, I saw it on the sign, I'll take it in. Because living entities are open suggestion. And whatever they see in their environment, they get attracted to. Krishna says in the Gita, Jayato Vishayam Pumsang. They develop a sangha with them. So people are looking around the material world and they're seeing all kinds of things, and they become attached to them, much to their detriment. But when they see Krishna in the form of a book, and they become attracted, that's their greatest fortune. So when you take it out and you show it in different ways, you can set up tables. We just set this table up on the street, and immediately people come over. Why? Because living entities are curious and they want to go through. And besides, every jiva has the chit potency for knowledge. So you'll notice anywhere you go, people are looking at a screen or they're reading a book. They're trying to drink in some information. That's what living entities do. And if you put a little stand up with some information on it, little jiva will come over and say, okay, let me look at this. And this is their greatest fortune. So everywhere where people set up and they show books, here's the police coming over to buy books. And this Mataji distributes thousands of books. Why? Because she shows them. She sets up a stand right in a busy place, and people come by and they see the books, and she waves at them, and they come over and they buy one after another after another. There are many events that you can go to. You can find events where people congregate. And then what can you do there? Show the books. Here's the Pumpkin Festival. There's been an annual festival near where our temple is, very successful. And some people have asked, why is the Bhagavad Gita that we have now orange? And now you know the reason. And there are events everywhere. So this is the famous Smart Box, which is a way to sell. If you like to sell books while you sleep, you can set up these smart boxes in various places. Now near our temple in California, we have 105 smart boxes around the area. And every month, we go and fill them up, take out all the Lakshmi, and there's people walking around with books because they saw them. And there's a little sign on the top that says, take the books, donate. And this is just one idea, but there are many ideas and ways to show the books. And if you innovate and find ways to make them visible, then people will take them. Here's another little table on the street. One devotee with a table can do quite nicely in a day, just meeting people who come over to see them. The Prabhupada said that I want every respectable person to have a full set of Bhagavatams and Chaitanya Charitamritas. So what might be, according to this law, a way that you could actually accommodate these respectable people? Who said that? Could you say it again? Give them the microphone. How might, if you wanted to sell sets of Bhagavatams, how might you do it?
Show them.
Thank you very much. Please give them a hand. Why is that? Because the more you show... Yeah, it's just a fact. If you take Bhagavatams, not only that, Thomas Hopkins, the greatest salesman in the world, said, whatever you can sell one of, you can sell many of. So always sell in bunches like bananas, he said. So we happen to have bunches of books that go together in full sets. And these sets are nicely packaged together. You can take them around and sell whole bunches of them. And Chaitanya Charitamrita as well. This was our one door-to-door excursion. Just last weekend, the devotees at ISV sold 14 sets of Bhagavatams going door-to-door. Why? Because they brought the books with them. And not only that, they showed them when they got to the doors. And lo and behold, people took them. 14 of them. 14 sets. And here's one that I was in on a couple of years ago. We were going door-to-door, and we were standing outside the door. The people finally decided to invite us in. There were quite a few of us, I think maybe 7 outside their door. And they were thinking, oh, I don't know what's going to happen if we invite them in. And big mistake, they finally did it. We went in and we started showing them the Bhagavatams. And their first line of defense was, we don't have any space. So this is a problem. People don't have space for the Bhagavatam because they have so much other junk. So we solved the problem for these people. You see where the arrow is? That's their set of Bhagavatams. Right before that, there were old games. I don't think anybody was playing anymore. There were hairbrushes and little bottles of stuff that had already dried out. I mean, there was all kinds of junk, and we took a look at it for them and said, do you need this anymore? Could you move that somewhere else? Saying, yeah, all this stuff can go. And this is what happens when the Bhagavatam moves in somebody's house. All the other junk has to move out. And it's the same thing when we move the Bhagavatam into our life. We get our 41 pages going. All the other junk has to go out. And this is our method. We pour the milk into a glass of ink and keep pouring until all the ink goes out. So when you take Bhagavatams in, America dropped a bomb recently. They called it the mother of all bombs. That was a misnomer because this is actually the mother of all bombs. You take a Bhagavatam and you drop one of those in somebody's house. They're never the same. And once they get them set up inside. And look at the family. They're all happy now. They got a whole Bhagavatam set inside. And it changes the whole environment. So you can take them everywhere. Here's a nice man from Morocco. Shraddha Devi Dasa just happened to meet him. And going door to door. He comes from a Muslim background, but he was very happy to receive the Chaitanya Charitamrita and set it up in his house. You can see how happy he is to receive these books. And we have means to do that, to sell full sets of books. You just have to get them and take them with you and learn to present them to people. Here's another way that you can put books all together. We decided if you can sell one set, then how about if you sell all the books at once? All the Chaitanya Charitamritas, all the Bhagavatams, everything together. The perfectly complete library. And what do you think would happen if you put all the books together plus all the lectures and maybe some madangas and kartals and like everything you'd need, pictures for a temple. And even we throw in the bookshelf. We get a wholesale from IKEA that perfectly fits the books. So what do you think would happen if you showed this to people and say, hey, why don't you take it? What do you think? Go ahead, tell us. Give her the microphone, she's going to tell us. What might happen?
There are chances that they take it.
They might take it, right? Why?
Because you're showing them.
Because you show it, right? Okay. And now, let me ask you one more question. What would happen if you didn't put this together and you didn't show people?
Obviously, they haven't seen it, so they don't know about it.
So they wouldn't take it? Because they didn't see it, right?
They don't know about it, they won't take it.
And what law does that go with also? What other law does that conform
The
to?
more you show, the more you sell.
And what other one? Yeah, because we've scientifically studied. We've gone to universities all over the world, and they've done major research and found out that you can't distribute books you don't have. So if you don't have these books and you don't show them, how many will you sell? The answer is 0. Goose eggs. No books. But if you put them together in imaginative ways and you just show them in imaginative ways, how many might you sell? No telling. 14 in a weekend, 140 in a weekend, thousands. You never know what might happen. You might sell 7 Bhagavad Gitas for $1,000 if you have them in your car. So the point is, get books and show the books wherever you go in innovative ways. There also is Motel Gita, which a few years ago, this number actually is 100,000 more now. We had a big year last year and also this year, off to a big start. Motel Gita is growing exponentially now all over the world. And so this came from one devotee. He came up to me one morning. I was sitting chanting japa and he said, I just asked you a question. I said, sure. He said, I'd like to put Bhagavad Gitas in all the motels and hotels. What do you think? I said, go for it, do it. And Mayapur, Bihari Prabhu. And so he started off in a small, simple way, and now he's on his way to 500,000 books. And it's growing very rapidly, very organized. And I dare say within a couple of years, but through exponential growth, we'll be reaching hundreds of thousands of people a year. So this can be done. This is spiritual entrepreneurialism, and all you have to do is come up with an idea, a little bit of a burning desire to follow the order, and go out and try. And no one insists on getting huge numbers. Even if you do a little bit, it's significant. One book distributed that goes across somebody's border into a land where despots rule the place, and that book can actually blow up the whole country and start over. Despots hate books. They like to burn them, actually. What to speak of our books, because they're so revolutionary. So you can join the revolution and start putting these books everywhere. So what's number 3? Correct. And number 4 is, you must organize. Yes, because you can do a little bit of book distribution here and there if you do it casually and you don't really think about it much. You don't plan, you don't organize. Tiny little bit. But if you organize, you can build a book distribution empire. If you organize yourself using all the techniques you use to organize the other parts of your life and getting help learning how to organize from experts, bringing them in, empowering them, then you can build a huge enterprise that distributes millions of books all over the world. Prabhupada did it, and as extensions of Prabhupada's work, we can also do it individually in all the different places where we work, using these 4 laws of book distribution. Prabhupada had great vision for his movement, and in his statements of purpose, he wrote, this is the number 7, he said, with a view towards achieving aforementioned purposes, that's the previous 6 out of 7, to publish and distribute periodicals, magazines, books, and other writings. So in other words, in order to accomplish all the other 6 purposes of ISKCON, he said, it would be done through this book distribution. That's how significant this particular service is. So organization means you got to have a calendar, you got to have times chalked in where you're going to do things. You have to make goals, clear goals about how many books you're going to distribute and how you're going to help grow your team. And we've seen in America, through organization, just over the last 5 years, these are bogus numbers because my other PowerPoint didn't download in time. I had updated it, but in the last 5 years, we've doubled book distribution in North America. And that came about through organization. Devotees came together and decided on a goal and then started to organize in various ways. And we went from sending about $750,000 to the BBT every year to this last year going over $2 million to the BBT within a short amount of time through the power of organization. This was our first book room at ISV, and it started in somebody's garage. That's Vaisesika Shekhar Prabhu, who insisted that we keep the books in his garage because we didn't have room in our tiny little temple at the time. And so it can start anywhere through organization, use all the means available to you possible, technologies to keep organized. Use the Sankirtan newsletters to report your scores. And by the power of organization, you can grow from a dusty little garage into a huge empire. Just like Steve Jobs, that Steve Wozniak started in a little garage in Silicon Valley. And they had a product they thought was kind of interesting. And they had a vision. And they started by making little incremental improvements. And when the Apple company started, it was small and humble. And they used to meet in Puhara Dunes on a regular basis, the core members of the organization, and they would talk about how to make improvements. And gradually, they became the biggest company in the world. And in a similar way, anyone can do that with their practice of sadhana bhakti, and also with the enterprise of distributing books by following the 4 laws of book distribution. Now we'll take a few reflections. Anything that you heard that stuck in your mind so far? The reflections are easy. It just any of the points that you found to be useful, you can just reflect them back.
In the mic, please. It's not a reflection, it's a question about the... Is it okay to ask a question?
Okay.
I mean, somebody might ask me that all of these books are available online, so why would we want a hard copy per se? Because Bhaktivedanta database has all these books available free of cost for everybody.
Because these books are deities, and when you have them in your home, they will have a profound effect on the whole environment. Not only that, although people do buy a large quantity of e-books, all the research, up-to-date research, and it's been showing this way for the last 5 years, shows that paper books are on the increase and e-books are holding steady. In other words, e-books are not replacing paper books. And Seth Godin, who's a best-selling author, he's written about 20 different books and he's a marketing expert, read all over the world, talks about how, in his book, The Idea Virus, that if you expand your various ideas, even through the internet, electronic media, people still buy your books. He's proof, because he lets all his ideas out over the internet. Said, don't hold them back. Let people have it electronically, because they'll still take the book. In fact, they take more books, because they like to have it. Books have been in human society for a long time. People have been writing on things, on walls, on cloth, on shelves, on stones. And now we have high-speed electronic printing, and books are not going away. So it's a cherished item in human society. People like to have books. Reflections? Anything? Yes.
I liked at the beginning how you were saying, Prabhu, Lord Chaitanya has the capital for our startup, and we have the backing that we need to take big.
Yes. Yeah, that's true. Chaitanya Mahaprabhu will back us up, and he's a spiritual capitalist. He'll invest in us. A few more. Yes.
Hare Krishna. You say that jivas are open to suggestions, but then there is another saying that people have closed minds. So is this not contradictory?
No. They start with a closed mind, but the impression gets planted, and then they change their mind. People do that all the time. They say no, and you just say, yeah, I'll think about it, and they go, okay, I'll do it. So jivas are tatastha. They're very impressionable because of their environment. So that's why people go out of their way. That's why people sell in the first place, because people have somewhat of a closed mind. In fact, we've found that people with closed minds are some of the best. They'll put up try to have a closed mind. It's a little known fact, but when you go to places where it says no solicitation, they put a big sign out. Those are the best houses to go to, because they know they don't have any resistance. But one thing is, we're not trying to sell everybody. We're not trying to convince everybody, but what we are doing, and you'll see this in the next presentation, is we're looking for ripe fruits. So you don't have to worry about being expert at selling. All I'm talking about is showing. And you'll find that there are unlimited jivas, and many of them are already ready to take to Krishna consciousness because they're innocent and they're open. And our job is to find the ones that are innocent and open and pour in as much mercy as possible. And you'll be delighted by this. Shastra also says that when you find somebody that's completely closed-minded and doesn't like what you're doing, you are ordered to avoid them. This is in Bhagavatam. Ishvare taradineshu bali sheshu dvisatsucha prema maitri kripopeksha yakaroti samadhyamaha. Those who are going out in book distribution are given this verse by Kavi Yogendra in the 11th canto of the Srimad Bhagavatam, where he says there's 4 entities that we should be aware of: Krishna, the devotees, the innocent, and the envious. And towards Krishna, we develop love. Towards the devotees, we develop friendship. Towards the innocent, we pour in as much mercy as possible. And towards the envious, we avoid. You can cross the street, go to the other side. Does it make you feel better? Yeah, me too. It's easy. It's like picking fruits. When you go out to pick fruits, you look for the ripe fruits and leave the other ones on the vine. You're not obligated to pick the ones that won't come off the vine. Just the ones that fall off in your hand. They're sweet and juicy and beautifully aromatic. Yes, a couple more. Yeah.
Hare Krishna. This is with regards to giving them books rather than e-books.
Yes.
Because when we read books, many people like to read it as a relaxing thing, but when we have books, it can be read it in a very relaxing way. We can explain to them that like we can turn the pages, read it anywhere, anyhow, instead of taking our tablets or going with the laptop or tablets or even small phones. It's more, it's better to read in a relaxing way. And also the books have, when you touch the books, it has a special spark of a spiritual thing. It purifies us. That's what Prabhupada said. Even if anybody touches my book also, a spiritual spark has been ignited in him. It may be after some years he may open the book and read, but or he may get a book from somebody else, but let him even touch the book. That's what is said by Prabhupada. So we can encourage them to say that if you can read it in a very relaxing way, or at least touch the book, you have a more potency of reading a book than going to e-book, because it's all electronic and the personal touch is not that much with regards to spiritual.
Okay, I'm convinced. Thank you. I would just add that we're not saying paper books instead of e-books. We're saying both. Both are available and both are important. And actually, if you'll notice, there's many of our books have a little barcode, and on the barcode you can download the e-book. So you get the paper book and then you get the e-book along with it. So both are nice to have, because if you travel you may not be able to take a full set of Bhagavatams on the plane with you. But if you have the Bhagavatam downloaded onto your tablet, you can sit there and read the whole Bhagavatam. I travel with a tablet instead of my full set of Bhagavatams. But all the points you made are very nice because there is a visceral experience when people have the books with them at home. Yes, I'm just checking on my time because Gora, but I'm asking if you could tell me what the time is. When does the seminar go till? Okay, thank you.
Yes, when I saw the full set of Bhagavatams and Chaitanya Charitamritas in the bookshelf, it reminded me about the first time I read about that idea, which you already know, Selling the Full Set was a book that came out of Australia. And they were so innovative that they offered people different types of bookcases. You know, depending on your home decor, you can have the mahogany, you can have the oak, you can have the... So if someone's, an entrepreneur and an innovator, they can come up with this idea of, especially custom bookcases in different styles, depending upon people's home decor. It's just another marketing idea.
And let's take 1 minute to stand up and greet the deities. You don't have to run away from your place, but stand up, turn towards the deities, and we offer our respects. Jai. Jai. Good. Very good. Thank you. Thank you. Okay, so now could you get me the keynote? Put the keynote on there. All the way to the bottom of the screen. Oh, you can't see there, can you? Okay, you'll have to unhook it. Okay, good, you got it. Play. To the left. To the left, there. Perfect. So, regarding books in general, sometimes people think, well, maybe it's just a quaint idea to distribute books that our acharyas thought of, and now it's somewhat antiquated. But actually, as I was mentioning, the books have been in human society for many, many years. And what is the future of the book? Research is showing that, as I just mentioned, sales of paper books are not going down. Even since this, in 2014, there's lots more research up to date, up to 2017 in April, showing that paper books are becoming more and more popular all over the world. People are buying more and more paper books. It's increasing. And this is a trend that is expected to continue for some time. And e-books are not keeping pace with paper books, just so you know. Although, again, I'm not making the case paper books instead of e-books. I'm just instilling faith in paper books because they've taken a beating through people saying that, oh, people only take e-books, they only like e-books, but it's not true. They like paper books. So there's a great sentiment for books in society in general. In fact, this is a statement which is contestable, but it shows the emotion that people have, even scholars, for books. Andrew Ross from NYU said, the smallest bookstore still contains more ideas of worth than have been presented in the entire history of television. Whether it's true or not is a subjective statement, but I'm only presenting how people have a feeling for books. They feel that books are noble. They feel that books are important for human society and so forth. So, what are books? They're containers. And what do they hold? They have idea seeds inside. And when the containers go out into the world, then those idea seeds spill out. And as I mentioned before, little jiva is open to suggestion. So when the idea seeds come from these books, which have started by hand, this is an example of scrolls that were written by hand, and they used to take a stylus and then impress it upon the palm leaf and then put it in the sun, and then it would turn this dark color. But then we started getting printing press, starting with the Gutenberg printing press. A man named Gutenberg invented the movable type so that he could print Bible in larger quantities. And as soon as he started printing the Bible, and it started going out all over the world, there was a rapid increase in Christianity around the world. Where else have books had an effect? Has anybody here read The Origin of the Species? Yes? Has anybody here heard of evolution? Okay. Do you have a copy of Origin of the Species in the car? Maybe it's on your nightstand. Well, how did you hear about evolution? It's everywhere. And where did it all come from? The idea seeds that were in this book. One man wrote one book, and the ideas in that book spilled out into human society, and now it's all over the world. In fact, you'll find these subtle ideas that came from the seeds in this book in cultures all over the world. People simply accept evolution as a fact because somebody wrote a book and distributed it. How about wealth of nations? The economic systems now that people take to be superior to others, they came from ideologies that were written down in books and then distributed, and the idea seeds spread out. Any of you heard of Cuba? Fidel Castro, he recently passed away. But it's a story about how he got into power. He was in jail because he was a revolutionary. So the government put him in jail. While he was in jail, he wrote down his ideas on paper using lime juice. And when you write with lime juice, it's invisible until you expose it to the sun. So his then fiancée used to come and visit him, and she would smuggle these pages out. They looked like blank pages. But when she'd take them and reconstitute them and then assemble them into a book, and they started distributing them outside the prison, there was revolution fomenting by the time he got out. And he was successful in his overtaking of the government by the written word. Then we have the United States of America. How did that get going? A revolution. One man, Thomas Paine, wrote this book called Common Sense, and to this day, per capita, it's the largest selling book of all times, because he went all over the colonies and he distributed this little booklet called Common Sense. In fact, he sold it. It was he sold it. And when people read this book, according to historians, they became so inspired, they were galvanized, they came together and they rose up for what was known as the American Revolution. And that became the United States of America. Books instill change in human society. People respect them, and the ideas within them infiltrate society. So, our sampradaya means to give these idea seeds out far and wide. In fact, the broadcast started as a farming term. It means to spread seeds very widely. That's what broadcast means. Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu picked up the Brahma Samhita. He had a copy, the Krishna Karnamrita as well, and made it available to all his disciples. And let's look at our sampradaya really quickly. Who is that sitting on this lotus? And who's this just above him playing the flute? What do you notice that's anachronistic about this picture? Yeah, now where'd that come from at the beginning of creation? The reason is because our sampradaya is called the sampradaya of the book. And you'll notice in our Gaudiya Sampradaya, whenever you see a picture of Brahma, he's always holding a book in his hand, because it represents what we're giving. We're giving knowledge. We're passing down knowledge. So it starts, he's getting the knowledge from Krishna's flute, but it's represented in the form of the book. Let's look at a few more. Now, you have to work with me on this. Who is this? And what's he writing? Okay, that's the part you have to work on me. Now, book's easy to say. Say book. No, you got to say it kind of like a little forced. Book. Together, all together. 2 inches higher. Okay, so that'll work. Good volume. So, Srila Vyasadeva, what's he writing? Correct. Okay. Now, who's this? What's he holding in his hand? Correct. Who is this? And what is he writing? Yes. Who is this? What's he writing? Who is that? What are they holding in their hands and what did they write? Correct. You can say book or books. Who is this? What's he posing with? Correct. Those are his books. Who's this? What is he deliberately posing with? Correct. Who is this? What is he deliberately posing with? We're seeing a pattern here, aren't we? Yes. And look at the result. This is 1975. And the opening of the Krishna Balaram Mandir. There's devotees from all over the world at this assembly. And this represents a major part of ISKCON at the time. Thousands of people were joining, coming from all over the world, all over Europe and Asia and America, and gathering there for this big celebration in the opening of the Krishna Balaram Mandir in 1975. And if you interview every one of them, you'll find out that each one of them came in contact with a book somewhere or another. And they read it, and the idea seeds spilled out to their minds and hearts, and then they joined the Hare Krishna movement. And so these ideologies get started through books. And that's why books are a good idea for distribution. Now, the Bhaktivedanta Book Trust that Prabhupada started is a specific business that he said, I hatched this transcendental plot to not only distribute books all over the world, but also to realize a profit that would build temples all over the world. So right now, money from the books that you sell goes to put bricks in this big temple. And did you know that Mayapur, Vrindavan, and dozens of other temples all over the world came from the profits from the Bhaktivedanta Book Trust? That's how ISKCON got started. And that was Prabhupada's specific idea to print books, sell them, use 50% of the profit for reprinting more books, and use the other 50% for building temples and projects all over the world. So that's how ISKCON got to where it is now. So books are access to higher association. Hey, your picture's up here, Vittal. Come on, come back. It's access to higher association. You can associate with pure devotees very easily by reading their books. To get in the same room with them is a little difficult. You can ask most of the devotees in early days ISKCON didn't have a chance. They'll all say, I couldn't get in there because all the big sannyasis were blocking me out. But you can sit down with Prabhupada any time and have his association through his books. And with Bhaktivinoda Thakur, Srila Bhaktisiddhanta. So we emphasize read these books. And these are the perfect gift for people all over the world. Book distribution is high sadhana. And although people are really sick and tired of this warmongering all over the world for profits, we are offering something different. Instead of weapons of mass destruction, we have weapons of mass instruction. We're actually doing good for the world. And as I began this, it's a military operation. And we should be involved in this as warriors to go out and fight with Maya by distributing books. It's a good idea. Hare Krishna. And let's see what the time is now. Don't mind, but I'm going to look at my watch. It's 8:17. Could you please put up the last bhajan? Because I'd like to sing a song with you. And after you sing this song, you won't need to have any instruction about book distribution because you'll be so enlivened by this song. And when you take it away with you, and I just warn you ahead of time that once you hear the song, you won't be able to stop singing it. Okay? So you're forewarned. And we do have earplugs at the door for those of you who would like to not hear that. And you can put in the earplugs and go in the basement. Because if you hear even a few bars of this song, it'll catch in your mind and heart, then you'll be singing it. When you go to work on Monday you'll walk in and you'll start singing the song and everyone else will start singing it. It'll cause a fracas here in Toronto. Can you find it? Oh, second one, that's it. Nadia Nagari. You're hired. Oh, what happened to our expert Prabhu with the kartals? Oh, okay. He's the best kartal player on earth, I think. Best kartal player on planet Earth. Let's get him in here. It's his new title. One of his talents. Okay, so this song is the names of Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu. And of course, everyone knows that Krishna and his name are non-different. If you just say Hare Krishna, you become liberated. But there are ways in which the Shastra talks about various offenses against the chanting the holy name, but there's no offenses considered in chanting the names of Chaitanya Mahaprabhu. Especially in this age, when Chaitanya Mahaprabhu told his followers to go out and spread the Krishna consciousness movement and teach people to chant Hare Krishna. Lord Nityananda went door to door, which we may do tomorrow. We get to follow in the footsteps of Lord Nityananda. That's pretty fun. And he went door to door and he asked people to chant the names of Lord Gauranga. He didn't ask them to chant Hare Krishna. He said, chant Gauranga's names, because he knew they'd get even more benefit. So, of course, Mahaprabhu said to chant Hare Krishna, so we spread the Krishna consciousnus movement by chanting Hare Krishna, spreading Hare Krishna. But Prabhupada said, before you chant Hare Krishna, you say, Shri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Sri Advaita Gadadhara Shivasari Gaura Bhaktivinoda. Then, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare. Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. All glories to Shri Shri Gornitai, Shri Shri Radhakir Chor Gopinath, Jagannath Baladev Subhadriji Ki Jai, Srila Prabhupada and all the Acharyas, and all of you who are the link in the disciplic succession, who have been chosen by Chaitanya Mahaprabhu to spread the movement all over the world. That's why you're here. You're not ordinary souls, great souls. And it's your responsibility, great wealth when you take that responsibility to do according to your capacity, whatever you can do at this particular time in your life, to assist the spread of the Sankirtan movement all over the world. And I thank you very much from the bottom of my heart. So it's been from the bottom of my heart, I only have one heart, to coming here tonight and spending your time to hear about book distribution. It's really touching to me, actually, that you're interested in this specific means of spreading Christian consciousness all over the world. And it's my greatest pleasure to share it with you. And I thank all the devotees who joined us online tonight. They're all coming through this camera somehow. And we'd like to pan the audience and please give them a warm greeting by chanting Hare Krishna Maha Mantra. Ready? You really greet them though. They're all there with us. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Go Premanande, Haribol. And now Radha Mohan Prabhu, a word from our sponsors.
Hare Krishna. Hare Krishna. Who is not excited right now? By show of your hand. Okay. Well, was that not amazing? Are you not excited that it's only day one of a 3-day festival with Vaisesika Prabhu and all assembled devotees? Haribol! So let's show our appreciation for our Sankirtan General, His Grace Vaisesika Prabhu, by loudly chanting Hare Krishna one more time. Hare
Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama.
a rare opportunity.
Armarman, Natari Armarman, Natari Armarman, Natari Armarman, hey, Natari Armarman, Natari Armarman, Natari Armarman, Natari Armarman.